Hey everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into another fun-filled episode of The Twilight Zone. This time it's episode 6 in Season 2, Eye of the Beholder. Came out November 10th, 1960, and it's another one I haven't seen before. But before we get into the actual episode, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to continue on this voyage to episode 156 of The Twilight Zone. And while we're at it, let's get into some comments from last week's video. Now here are some of the comments from Season 2, Episode 5, The Howling Man. First one is P. Sparks3419, and they say the lead actor in this is H.M. Wanent, is still going strong at age 97. Awesome episode. Thumbs up. Thanks for the comment, P. Sparks, and man, he's still kicking at 97. I hope he's still going strong, because when I'm 97, I hope to be like walking around almost like Dick Van Dyke. I think he's in his mid-90s now, maybe close to 97, but I'd prefer to be that way and still scooting and skeeting and bebopping all around. But if I'm in a wheelchair or like strapped to a bed and I can't go anywhere, then what's the sense in being that old? Felicia Kid 9358 says, I love The Twilight Zone. I have the complete collection on DVD. This episode is pretty creepy towards the end. Yeah, it is a very creepy episode. I actually enjoyed it more so than a lot of the episodes that have been coming out so far in Season 2. But looking forward to going forward with the season itself and seeing what's coming. I know this is probably ranked really high, this current episode that I'm about to watch. So looking forward to seeing what that's all about. Tiny Barrow says, when I was a kid, this episode scared the crap out of me. I bought the whole series on Blu-ray about a year ago, and it's one of my favorite episodes. Yeah, definitely a great episode. I enjoyed it. I mean, you knew that it was going to be the devil in the end, and he was going to release him upon the earth. It's just sad the way it all went, and sometimes the Twilight Zone just doesn't end with those happy endings like many of the other ones. Not really a lot, actually. There's only maybe a few of them, maybe a handful that actually end happily for the main character. So Akira Kurosawa says, so that's what my grandpa is keeping in the basement. I hope not. Richard Chase 2960 says, huge plot hole. The world was far from being in peace in between the two world wars. Actually, there were depressions everywhere you went, plus guys like Mustache Man and Stalin taking over their governments, haha. True, there were some downtimes in between the wars that they talk about in the episode, but at the same time, they do stipulate that a lot of the stuff that happens in between, the stuff when the devil's not involved, men do create their own issues. It was like one line, it was kind of brushed over, but it does state that mankind has the ability to create their own hell in a lot of respects. So this is true. There's bad going on all the time, but usually when there's war and some horrible stuff like that, I would say the devil is probably more involved so than the regular issues that men have. So it makes you wonder, like, was God involved with the Great Renaissance when it comes to this story? It's kind of an interesting question. I wonder if they kind of touch on that at some point in the Twilight Zone, or maybe I should write my own episode. But with all that being said, let's jump into episode 6 and see what we got going on.
The signpost up ahead. Your next stop, the Twilight Zone.
When will they take the bandages off? How long, nurse?
Until they decide whether or not they can fix your face.
It's pretty bad, isn't it? Oh, I know it's pretty bad. Ever since I was a little girl, people have turned away when they looked at me. Very first thing I can remember is another little child screaming when she looked at me.
I never wanted to look like a painting.
I just wanted people not to scream when they looked at me.
When will they take the bandages off?
We haven't seen a face yet.
I've been waiting so long now.
Everything's in silhouette.
Doesn't really make much difference whether it's 2 weeks or days now. Dr. Bernardi, evening report on patient 307. No temperature change. Resting comfortably.
Thank you, nurse. I'll be down later.
Thank you.
Ever see her face, 307?
If it were mine, I'd bury myself in a grave someplace.
Really like how they're doing these camera positions. The camera moves right when they're about to turn and show the face, and then they zoom back out.
Your introduction to Miss Janet Tyler, a universe whose dimensions are the size, thickness, length of a swath of bandages that cover her face. Keeping in mind, of course, that we're not to be surprised by what we see, because this isn't just a hospital, and this patient 307 is not just a woman. This happens to be the Twilight Zone.
Interesting.
Well, it's warm this evening, Miss Tyler.
Yes?
Quite.
We'll have those bandages off you very soon. I expect you're pretty uncomfortable.
But I'm used to bandages on my face.
No doubt. It's your 9th visit here.
9.
It is the 9th.
The 11th.
Oh, even worse.
There's a kind of a comfort living inside this cave. Wonderfully private.
Makes you wonder what's under that, all those bandages.
I'll never look into it.
Well, that's hard to say. You haven't responded to the shots, the medication, any of the proven techniques. Frankly, you've stumped us, Miss Tyler. Nothing we've done so far has made any difference at all.
All this audio seems recorded after the fact. Definitely didn't use what was on set.
I'm sorry your case is not one that we could have handled with plastic surgery, but your bone structure, many factors prohibit the surgical approach. Your 11th visit. 11 is the mandatory number of experiments. We're not permitted to do any more after 11. There's no way of telling till we get the bandages off.
And if I haven't responded, then what?
You realize, of course, Miss Tyler, why these rules are in effect. Each of us is afforded as much opportunity as possible to fit in with society. In your case, think of the time, money, and the effort expended to make you look...
Look like what, Doctor?
Better?
normal, the way you'd like to look.
Doctor,
May I walk outside?
Please?
Just for a little while. Just to make believe I am normal.
They couldn't have, like, made some holes for eyes or something.
I want to belong. Please help me.
There are many others who share your misfortune. People who look much as you do. Now, one of the alternatives, in the event that this last treatment is not successful, this is simply to allow you to move into a special area in which people of your kind have been congregating.
People who are different.
Oh, you mean segregated? You ain't in prison, don't you, Doctor? You're talking about a ghetto, aren't you? A ghetto designed for freaks.
Miss Tyler.
Jeez.
Now, the state is not unsympathetic. Your presence here in this hospital is proof of that. You're not being rational, Miss Tyler. Now, you know you can't expect to live any kind of a life among normal people.
What's normal?
I could wear a mask or this bandage, or I wouldn't bother anybody. Who makes all these rules and traditions and statutes? The people who are different have to stay away from the people who are normal.
So it's a world that segregates people who look different than what is normal in society.
Hasn't the right to make ugliness a crime.
Tyler, stop this immediately.
I feel the night out there. I feel the air. I can smell the flowers. Please take this off me, please. Please take this off me.
Yes, please.
Take it off me!
Man, she's having a moment.
Please let me go. Please let me.
Man, I feel for her. It's a bummer.
We'll take the bandages off.
Man.
Look tired, Doctor.
Do I?
They've done a really good job blocking those faces.
You've been under a great deal of tension. I know how much it means to you, this case in 307.
Cross your fingers and you hope for a miracle. You know, once in a while, a miracle does happen just often enough to let you know that you're not wrong or foolish to hope for one.
You mustn't let yourself get personally involved here.
No, you think I haven't told myself that? You see, nurse, I've looked underneath those bandages.
So have I. It's horrible.
No, I mean deeper than that. Misshapen skeletal mask.
Jeez.
I've seen that woman's real face, nurse, the face of her real self. It's a good face. It's a human face.
I understand. It's easier for me to think of her as human when her face is covered up.
Why must we feel that way, nurse?
I have a inclination that his face is probably the ugly face, and the woman underneath the bandages is beautiful.
To be different. Why?
Careful.
I know. Treason. It'll be all right. Once the bandages are off, once I know one way or the other.
Leader speaking tonight. He goes on in just a few minutes.
And now,
Ah, propaganda.
good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Can't see his face still. Can kind of see it, but it's too far away.
And the ultimate pleasure of our unified society.
Now, I have to ask you once again, Miss Tyler, and I must insist that you promise you'll remain rational, no temperament, and no violence. I'm going to cut the bandages a section at a time. The process has to be slow so that your eyes can become accustomed to the light. As you know, these injections may have had some effect on your vision.
Okay.
As I unwrap, I want you to keep your eyes open, and I want you to describe to me the various shadings of light as you perceive it. If you start getting emotional on this, Miss Tyler, I'm going to have the nurses hold you down and have the anesthetist put you under sedation, you understand.
That's a big needle.
All right, then.
Oh. The suspense. Okay.
Just be very quiet.
Still can't see faces.
Now, Miss Tyler?
It's much brighter.
Good, good. Look up toward the light.
Oh, her point of view.
It's very bright.
Good, good. Now,
Almost there. A lot of bandages. Oh.
at the last layer of bandages.
I can just distinguish your outline vaguely, but I can just see you.
Hurry it up.
Would you like a mirror?
Mirror.
No, thank you, no mirror.
All right, then. I want you to remember this, please. Miss Tyler, are you listening?
Yes, I'm listening.
Now, we have done all we could do. If we've been successful, well and good, there are no problems. If, on the other hand, this final treatment has not achieved the desired result, please remember, Miss Tyler, that you can still live a long and fruitful life among people of your own kind. Now, as soon as we discover the results, we'll either release you or...
If I'm still terribly ugly, is there any other alternative? Could I please be put away?
Put away?
Miss Tyler, the state does provide for the extermination of undesirables. However, there are many factors to be considered in the decision.
She wants to die?
I doubt very much whether we would be permitted to do anything but transfer you to a communal group of people with your disability.
Okay.
Now remain very quiet.
I'm nervous for her, but at the same time, it's like, man, what a crappy society to live in where people judge others.
I wish you every good luck.
Okay, a moment of truth.
No change.
No! Dear God, she's beautiful.
Turn on the light.
Oh.
Needle, please.
Well, if that's normal, I don't want to be.
And know now that there must be a single purpose.
So it took 11...
A single philosophy of government.
Dear God, did you see that beautiful woman?
It is essential in this society. Weaken us. Variation destroy us.
Ew, a beautiful woman. Look.
Conformity. We must worship and hold faith.
Oh.
Miss Tyler, don't be afraid. He's only a representative from the group you're going to live with.
Yeah, normal guy. I mean, to you.
Won't hurt you, don't be
Does he look like Ken to her Barbie? Ugh.
This is Mr. Smith, Mr. Walter Smith. Mr. Smith is in charge of the village group in the north. He'll take you there tonight.
I think you're gonna like it where I'm gonna take you. You'll be with your own kind. You'll feel a sense of great belonging.
Yeah.
And you will be loved, Miss Tyler.
Sounds nice. What are you going to do? Stay in a society that doesn't want you or go to a society that does? It's a no-brainer.
Miss Tyler, would you get your things now? You can leave any time.
Why do we have to look like this?
Very, very old saying. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Try to think of that, Miss Tyler. Say it over and over to yourself. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Title of the episode. She's already starting to smile. Thanks, guys. Thanks for nothing.
Goodbye, Miss Tyler.
Now the questions that come to mind. Where is this place and when is it? What kind of world where ugliness is the norm and beauty the deviation from that norm? The answer is, it doesn't make any difference. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. On this planet or wherever there is human life, perhaps out amongst the stars. Lesson to be learned in the Twilight Zone.
A good lesson indeed. Well, that's it. Eye of the Beholder. I enjoyed that episode. Very good one, I would say. Probably the best one so far of this season. The camera work was very unique. I thought it was very different the way they tried to not show the faces whatsoever. Didn't see a face really until Rod Serling popped up, but of course you didn't see any of the actors' faces until later on in the episode, maybe about 3/4 in. I kind of knew where it was going. They could have went the one way where it's like she was going to be ugly and everyone else was going to be beautiful, but at the same time, this is the Twilight Zone. So I had the feeling that she was going to be the gorgeous one underneath that bandages and stuff like that they had on her face, which was a lot of layers. I couldn't believe how many layers they had to unwrap to make her actually come to the light. But, you know, the fact that they covered her face and made it seem like she was this most hideous thing ever, and it turns out she was the most beautiful person there in that hospital. When it comes to us, Eye of the Beholder, you know, but the society was a very fascist society. You know, a place where everyone discriminates, and if you're different than everybody else in society, then they ship you somewhere else. Very Nazi Germany way of thinking. If you're in a society that doesn't want you, then why stick around in that society, you know? So I thought this was probably the best episode so far this season, but let me know, comment below what you thought of this episode, and I will read your comment next week before I start going into the next episode, episode 7. Let's jump into some trivia and see what it took to get this episode off the ground. The leader's hand movements were meant to resemble the gestures made often during speeches by Adolf Hitler. Yeah, I can definitely see that. One of the highest rated episodes of the original Twilight Zone series. I can understand why. I mean, it dealt with a lot of issues, discrimination. You can kind of parallel it with a lot of things that were happening in society at that time. So, and it's very much into, what you think of yourself as well. Just be happy in your own skin, and you might be happier as a person, and have a better life in general, instead of worrying about your looks and whatnot. But I guess if you're in that sort of society, you'd be worried about your looks, and you just can't get over that issue. And so being beautiful or being part of the status quo is what it means to be in that sort of society, which is not a way to be. Originally, the preceded the title until television producer Stuart Reynolds threatened to sue Rod Serling for the use of the name because of the time he was selling an educational film of the same name in public schools. Reruns following the initial broadcast featured the title screen, The Private World of Darkness. Edson Stroll appeared in another Twilight Zone episode dealing with body transformation, The Trade-Ins, 1962, where he has the youthful body an elderly man sought to obtain. Okay, that's a couple years away, and that's a couple seasons away for us, I guess. Because CBS consulted different prints over the years for syndication packages, the closing credits vary from side to side, depending on what television station is used for what version. And this made a complicated job for the filmmakers in the Twilight Zone original DVD release. The syndicated version was marketed as an alternate version. The episode features two actors who would later appear in hit TV series Donna Douglas, Ella May, Clampett in the Beverly Hillbillies. Oh, that's who it was. And Edson Stroll, Virgil Edwards in McHale's Navy. Now, I don't know who Virgil Edwards is. I do know of McHale's Navy. That was with Ernest Borgnine, and the actual remake was who starred, I can't remember, Roseanne's old flame, Tom Arnold. But yeah, I totally blanked on Donna Douglas being in this from the Beverly Hillbillies. I definitely knew who she was. The director had planned to save Maxine Stewart, who spoke all of the lines of the main character. Janet Tyler, when her head is entirely covered by bandages, dub in the single line spoken by Tyler when she is revealed, portrayed by the actress Donna Douglas. However, Douglas had been listening to Tyler's voice as she recorded her part and was able to imitate her so successfully that she was allowed to speak the line on camera herself. Wow, well, I was right. They definitely did record her voice not on set, and it wasn't even her to begin with, but awesome that she actually got a line in. No character's face is clearly shown for the first 19 minutes of the episode. Well, it's about 3/4 of the episode, so very interesting way of how they did it. This famous episode is referenced in Futurama 1999, Season 3, Episode 11, The Cyber House Rules, which is the episode came out in 2001, with a shot-for-shot recreation of the big reveal recreated when Leela's bandages are taken off. Well, that's it for the trivia and this episode. Tune in next week for another episode. Until then, see you later.